Hey guys, hello, keep it dirty off-road, and today we're doing the cab seals on my Gen 1 F-150 Raptor. You may be asking what the cab seals are. Well, one of the most common questions I get when it comes to the Gen 1 Raptor is what should I be looking for in a used Gen 1 Raptor as I'm going out to buy one? I usually tell folks, look at the typical stuff you do with any car, right? Check the engine, service history, all that stuff. But you also want to pay close attention to the shocks, and then you want to get under the truck and take a look at the cab seals. So the cab seals are actually underneath the truck. You actually have to get under the truck, and it's between the frame and the actual cab. There's a couple of seals under there, and what normally happens is moisture will actually get in there and the truck will actually start rusting from the inside out. Typically you'll see rust in the back, and it'll actually start rusting down here. You'll start seeing like bubbling up and all that stuff, but by the time you see it here, it's actually already too late. And the only thing down there to protect this whole area from rusting out is some flimsy little plastic pieces that are just kind of glued on there. And as these trucks ages, those little plastic pieces fail. This is a 2014 truck, well over, that's a 9-year-old truck?
Yep, exactly.
First generation was in 2010, so it's very common for these things to fail, and you do have to keep an eye on it. Those things right there, those are the cab seals. So you guys can see, it's just little plastic pieces that go from the front of the cab all the way to the back, and as you guys can see, mine are starting to go. And because they're starting to go, I need to replace them. And you can see I have a little bit of surface rust too, so I'm gonna get in here with the wire wheel, take care of all the surface rust, and get it all set up. And we have to do both sides. These are on both sides too, guys. So yeah, we're gonna get this whole area cleaned up. I'm gonna get the cab seals taken out. We're gonna take care of the rust, paint it with some automotive paint to treat all the rusty areas. And then we're going to put some cavity wax in there to add further protection, then cover it up with flashing tape, and then keep an eye on it, right, to make sure that it doesn't leak. A couple of things to look at here too, guys. There's cab seals, and I think there's how many? Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3. Ooh, we may have to take out the steps in order to do this. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is there anything behind that step?
Yeah.
10. Then how many over there?
Yeah, 10, 11, 12.
That's a lot.
Yeah, one of them, the step is directly behind of.
So looks like we are gonna have to take our steps. Man, we got some debris in there from the last run.
How did you manage that?
Yeah, talent. So it looks like there's about 12 on each side. We may not get done today. And damn, she's rusty under here. We've look at that. We had a pretty wet season here, and we got rust everywhere. Look at my muffler. That's stainless, and look how rusted out that is. We had a pretty wet winter season here, so a lot of stuff got wet. This is gonna suck. It's gonna suck, Christian. This is one of the reasons I've been putting it off, because it's gonna suck. A lot. So what do you use to treat something like that? Now, you can't just get paint to treat the inside of it, because you need to be able to reach up all in there. Also, paint takes too long to cure, and you can't just paint it and close it up. But they do make special products, and this actually came from one of my followers. It's called Cavity Wax Plus. It's a product made by 3M. And basically, this stuff is specifically designed to spray inside the cavity, inside the cab seals and all that stuff, and prevent any rust from forming. Since this is more wax-based, it sets relatively quickly, and once you put it in there, any moisture that gets in there will just wick off the inside of the car and be able to drain out. We bought a few of these cans. Not sure how much I'm gonna need. I bought 3 just to be on the safe side, but not sure if we'll need all 3 or if we'll be able to just get it done with 2. We don't know. You also need some applicators to be able to apply the wax. And this kit's important because it comes with the wands you need. So these wands are designed to go into the cab, and you get 3 different sizes, so you can go in as deep in as you want. And then they have a little tip that allows you to do 360-degree spraying, so that when you go in, you just push it in all the way, and then you hit the button to spray out, and you just pull out. Do it again, and you can do 3 coats in less than 5 minutes, right? Actually, you could probably do 3 coats in a minute. They do make the job easier. They're relatively flexible so that you can really get into those areas. So if you have like an old car that wasn't treated on the inside, like the old Mustangs, they weren't, this stuff works really great to get into all those hard to reach areas and put a nice coat of protection. Now this stuff is pretty expensive. I think we ended up spending about 25, 30 bucks a bottle. I'll put the actual price here. And then the kit itself is another 30 bucks. So it does get pretty pricey. but it is money well spent. Now there is one more thing we need here too. Now since we're gonna be under the truck, I am gonna also be treating any rust that I find. So we're gonna actually clean it up, take care of all the surface rough spots, and all you need is a nice automotive paint. A lot of people get really crazy about this stuff, especially if you live in the Rust Belt. This is an off-road truck. So anything I put on there, I can fully expect to be sandblasted off at some point by the desert sand and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about doing some kind of crazy coat. This is more than good enough. I'm gonna clean the surface with a wire wheel, get all the rust off, put this on there, let it all settle out, go in and put my wax, and then I'm gonna replace the seals with flashing tape. So you can find this at any local hardware store. Relatively easy stuff to use. It's the 3M. Cold weather, it can handle very low temperatures and high temperatures. They make different kinds. We'll make sure those are linked on our Amazon page. But we're just gonna use flashing tape, and you wanna get something that's a little bit thick, right? See the difference in thickness on these? You want to get something that's a little bit thicker so you can really cover up the holes. Now, I've heard that there is a like rubberized kit out there that actually can seal those up, but in all my searching, I haven't been able to find it. If you guys know of a kit that can rubber seal all of those, that has pre-made pieces, please let me know. Send me the link in the comments, on social media or email, whatever. If you know the kit that has the rubber pieces on it, I would love to use that instead of tape. Now, as far as frequency, this is something you're gonna have to check fairly regularly. We've had our truck for about 2 years now, and my seals are just starting to fail, so it's time to go in there and replace the factory seals. If you're looking at a used truck, chances are the seals are gone. And if the seals are gone, that means that water's been able to get in there and your truck's gonna rust. So keep that in mind, you wanna inspect it. If it's already too late, then check with the body shop to see what you can do to kind of evade that, because it rusts from the inside out. For us, for now, we're gonna go ahead and get started and get this done. And first step is we got to clean up the area and take off the old seals. All right, to make our lives easier, we are using a jack stand to kind of support it in the middle, and then Ethan's gonna start taking it off. Now to take the steps off, it's 4 bolts. You got 2 bolts underneath, and then 2 bolts right there on the face. Fuck me. How are you gonna get the 2 up top?
I need the
Get the angular bit.
angular bit. Fuck me.
Nope.
No.
You need an extension. And so what's the monstrosity we're building, Ethan?
A doohickey, my bob.
We got 13 mil 3/8 to 3/8 wobbly bit to
3/8 to ½ inch.
to a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch wobbly bit. If that doesn't work, you're screwed. I'm gonna have to do it by hand. Did that work?
Give me a second.
Huh?
It's loud as fuck. I gotta test this spider.
Because it just resonates, bud.
Now you know what I felt?
Oh my god. Alright.
Oh shit.
Careful. Let's collect all the bolts. I don't want to lose any of this stuff. And we're going to need to clean those off before we use them again. Now, as far as the condition of this stuff, a bit of rust there that we got to take care of. Oh, look at that. That's not good.
You're rusting already?
No, where the steps go, it's not sealed. So that's an area where moisture can get in. That's dumb. So that right there is where the step was. So you guys can see, good on the inside, which is a good sign, right? Because if there was rust in there, I'd be worried. Can we start taking some of this stuff off just to see the status of things? But you can see how easy they come off. That's not good. We couldn't see the rust on that top part from the bottom. It wasn't until I reviewed the footage later that we realized that that was pretty nasty, but luckily we were able to take care of it with the white wood. Let's look in there. Yeah, as you can see, it's just dirty in there, which is good. That means even though some of the cap seals are failed, they're in good shape. So right now we're gonna take them all off and assess. Just grab it from the side. Yeah, just get enough and then peel it off.
You can't see shit. And your light's dying on you too. Nothing's working, huh?
Nothing's working today. Look at that. There's a couple of holes there on that one.
Yep.
Let's get the next one. That looks really good. Also looks good, but see how there's some dirt in there from some previous moisture?
Nope. I can't see it.
That's no bueno, right? We obviously don't want to see moisture in there.
I can't see shit.
Now, what we have discovered, guys, is there is a little bit of rust in there. See how there's a hole right there for it to drain out? And then we have our drains for the sunroof. And if you look behind it, definitely some rust buildup in there, which is definitely not good. As far as I know, that wherever that tube drains, it should drain out. Now, I don't see what that would be. I mean, I guess it could drain out to these little gaps right here, but that's definitely disheartening to see. If that's the only rust we have, that's not too bad. We're gonna take care of all this surface rust, get this area all cleaned up, get all that surface rust out of there, get some automotive paint there. Then we're gonna treat all the cavity, because the cavity, I mean, you can kind of see it, right? It's not fully painted. There's a light primer coat, but you could see as soon as moisture gets in there, once moisture gets in there, it starts rusting. So we want to prevent that in the future. So let's get to it. So using a wire wheel, we went ahead and removed all the surface rust. We've got a nice thin coat of paint. This is just the first coat, and the goal is really just to cover up all the rust so that it doesn't come back. We'll come back here in about 30 minutes or so, give it another coat, let it sit overnight, and then we'll do the seals in the morning. Now we're gonna take our thick flashing tape and start covering up the holes. Now, if you guys will look, we're gonna try to cover up the holes as much as we can with this stuff, and then I'm gonna go over it with the thinner stuff to kind of cover any extras. There's a couple areas we got to watch out for. Here is where our step mount goes into. So whatever we put here, we have to cut out for the holes that got to go in there. All these, and then I'm going to do the one for the steps last because I got to get the nuts in there before I put the tape down. And I am going to put the tape over the nuts because I want this covered up because before it wasn't. All right, so let's go ahead and try this out. We're just going to kind of figure out a rough size. Cut it. We know the surface is already clean because it's a fresh paint. Take this piece off. Make sure the lettering is correct and cover it up. To make sure that everything is on there good and well, you want to get one of these little, well, I guess what do you call them, wedges? You use them for stickers and stuff like that. Tint and stuff like that. And you just want to use those to make sure you got a good seal on everything. Good seal is important, guys, because if you don't have a good seal, it's gonna leak again. And I'm gonna kind of cut it with my nail around this part right here because I want the best seal possible. And usually these little ridges, I noticed on the little ridges from the factory ones, they didn't do a good job of covering it up. All right, first one's in. All right, now I have back issues, so this does kind of hurt.
Just call yourself old.
I am old, so this does kind of hurt, but
You're getting obsolete, so
it's gotta be. Ah, fuck! It's gotta be done. So
it doesn't have to be.
if you guys hear my back pop, it's because I'm fucking old. We've already heard it pop once, right, Christian?
Yeah, I didn't get it on camera.
It's like, what the hell? Well, if you hit record when I told you to, you would have got it on camera.
I did. Then you told me it's 0.5. I was on 1 when I started recording.
Yeah, cameraman can't get good help these days.
I mean, you can. You just gotta pay him a pretty.
Damn editor can't tell me what he wants first.
Editor, technically at this point I'm the director.
Technically,
Yeah,
at this point, he's the everything.
Yeah, but he doesn't tell me what he wants until after I started it.
You're supposed to know, cameraman.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
can't read his mind.
You're a qualified cameraman. You've been doing this shit for how long, Christian?
And yet every time I try to do it on my own, you get angry over how the camera shots are.
Yeah, because the
'Cause you're
shots are like
terrible.
shit.
It's fucking terrible.
But yet you don't want the small one to do it because you'll have a finger in your freaking video.
Hey, my finger is gorgeous. Leave it alone.
I'm too old for this shit, guys.
Yeah, Dad, it's about time you start paying someone to do it.
Yeah, I think Mom's suggestion is right. Pay somebody to do it.
Lazy bastards. How old are you guys and you're still mooching off me?
Hey, the economy is shit right now.
Have you seen the housing market, Dad? Do you expect us to live out
You
there with
haven't
those
seen
high
shit,
payments?
Christian.
Now, I know you guys are wondering why you taping first before you're spraying the wax. That's because these holes right here, the holes for the steps, that's what I'm going to use to spray the wax in there. Because as far as I can tell, this is just one large tunnel. So we'll be able to spray all the way there and back, spray all the way there and back, you know, use the holes to our advantage. And with the wax sprayed in there while these are in here, the edges of this stuff will also be protected. You know what I forgot to look for?
No.
The little tube out here that drains. Oh, but there's an opening right here.
Did I not bring it out?
On the back you did, but not on the front.
You doing this one?
Yes, I am, but I want that line to stay out. So this one we're gonna do a little bit different because I don't want the this line that drains for the top, right? This line's coming from the sunroof. I don't want it draining in the cab anymore because it doesn't have an efficient way to flow out, especially after we add the cavity wax. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a piece of tape here, but I'm gonna cut it and go around this thing and keep it out. Now that means that I'm gonna have to do extra care on this, right? Anytime we have mud, I have to go through and make sure this is cleaned up extra good so it doesn't stay clogged. So that's the one drawback of that. And maybe a way to do like a filter on it or something, we may do that too. But for now, I just want a way to keep it out so that it has a path to go and drain all the water so that that water doesn't go in that seam and rust it out. I'm gonna do an extra long piece. I'm gonna do a cut on probably towards the end over here, right there, like that, so that it goes around that piece, and I'm going to do another piece to go underneath it. Okay. And again, the goal here is to try to keep as much of the moisture out as possible. So I gotta go back over the top and over the bottom too.
I know, right?
It's better not to what?
I got that Gen Z mindset.
To not think?
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look the best, but again, try to avoid rust. Now, if you guys have one of the newer trucks, the aluminum body trucks, you guys will never have to worry about this shit. This is only for the steel body trucks.
The Gen 1s.
Alright, you guys can see everything's back into place. You'll notice that where the steps go, I'm not putting any tape there yet, because that's what we're going to use to fill it with cavity wax. So once we got the cavity wax in place, then we'll put some tape on there once we have all the hardware in there. But you can see that's the front of the truck. I couldn't see the tube for the front of the truck. Now this was odd. In fact, we only found one out of the 4 tubes. From what I understand, there should be 2 up front and 2 in the back. We only found one. We actually felt in there, looked around, couldn't find the other tubes. Not sure where they went. But I'm not so worried because there's a hole up at the front because the fender trimming that was done for this. So the water has a way to escape there. On the back, there is that tube. As you can see, we moved that tube out because I don't want it in there, draining water in there. Even if there is a way for it to come out through these little holes, I don't want it back there. And hopefully that works. And then we just got to keep an eye on it. Every time we go mudding, we got to clean it off. Now we're going to apply the cavity wax. Ethan's doing the shaking right now. Shake it, shake it, shake it.
You come here often?
You're gross. Now we found the medium one that's included for the package is going to be just enough to go from the hole towards the end. So that's what we're going to use. We also have the option for a super long one and a medium and a small one, but I don't think we'll need those. We're going to go for this one right here. And the way you do it is you kind of just stick it in, hit spray as you're taking it out, and that coats everything. Because I know this is going to go all over the place, I am going to put my face shield on because it's probably going to spit out of these holes up here. So I'm using my face shield to protect myself a little bit. Let's go.
I think some of it just fell on my shirt. It definitely did.
Yep, that's where it's dripping out of that hole right there. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna go the other way. This thing's pretty easy to use. Sweet. I see it flying out of the outside over there. Oh, I'm glad I put this shield on.
I'm glad I'm just breathing this stuff in.
Alright, now we just gotta get this last bit and she will be done. The wax did make a little bit of a mess on the opening, so I'm spending a little bit of time to clean it off the openings so I can do my other holes, you know, my other stickers on there and stuff. Now, as far as the manufacturer is concerned, it says the wax is basically good as it is. It only needs a couple hours to set. So we're gonna let the wax do its thing. I'm gonna get the nuts and everything back in there before I put the steps back on. So we're gonna get the other side going, and then we'll come back to this side and finish it off with the steps. Okay, this is the driver's side. Typical rust. This side's not so bad. The other side was pretty bad here. Some rust there. And there's a lot of rust. A lot of rust next to where the cable comes out, so we could spend a little bit of time over there. That's the parking brake cable. Now, I was worried that this tape was going to be a little too thin, so I decided to double up. And I had this backup tape here too, which was a little bit thicker, so we ended up doubling up. This is not as wide, so we ended up doing 2 more strips and just made that a little bit stronger, right? It is going to get sandblasted, it is going to get pelted, so wanted it to be a little bit thicker and have some more protection. Okay, so we went back and gave each hole a second layer of the thinner stuff. And then this is the hole where the steps go. So we just kind of put the clip nuts back in, put some tape over it, and then cut some holes because I don't want this exposed. But yeah, everything's got an extra set. Stuff stinks of oil. Oh, it's dripping on me. Such a bit. Holy crap. 1 can is just enough. All right, turn it off. 1 can is just enough. Yes, please. As we started taking these off, we realized there's a lot of mud and stuff on this. We're gonna spend a little time cleaning them up because they're pretty nasty. Leftover mud, that no matter how much you spray, it doesn't come off. And then this one, for some reason, it's got wood and rocks in it. So we gotta clean all that off. Now this is all the hardware we took off the truck, and as you guys can see, it's pretty rusted out. I don't want to put rust back into this truck, so we're gonna treat it all before I put it back in. Look how nasty that is. I want to get it all cleaned up and get all the rust taken out, so I'm gonna use this stuff. I've used it before, it works really good. Let it soak overnight, and then tomorrow just come in and clean everything up, clean all the rust off, and it should be good. So we'll do that for all the hardware so that once we come back in, we have a nice clean materials. And then once I put everything in place, I'm actually gonna give it another coat of paint on top of it. So to kind of further seal it, right? Further seal it a little bit more. I don't expect the paint to last. Again, this is an off-road truck, it's gonna get sandblasted, but it's another layer of protection. So here's the state of the steps. Now a lot of you guys want to keep these off, but look at all this, guys. Look at all this. This is all from sandblasting and rocks that have been hit on the trails. And then obviously that's all from sandblasting. These things get quite a bit of damage. Now I'm tempted to treat all of this, but honestly in this section is completely futile because this is gonna get sandblasted literally on the first run. So I think I'm just gonna treat the surface areas where it meets the cab and then leave the rest as is, because it's not really worth treating it. It's gonna rust over like crazy anyways. And first trip out, all this right here, all that will be completely sandblasted off anyways. My OCD got the better of me here. Decided to treat the brackets. Same as before, we just used the wire wheel to go ahead and take all the rust off. We also use the wire wheel to kind of scuff up the surface so the paint has something to adhere to. Clean it all up. Both sides just full of mud. Alright guys, so that is it for this video. Overall, we only needed to use one can, which is kind of cool. I was a little worried about how much I would actually need to use, so I'm glad it was only a single can. So when you guys order it, just order the can, order the application kit. You're only going to need the medium-sized one. Get yourself some flashing tape, and get yourself some automotive paint. You know, we used satin finish. You can use whatever finish you want. The main purpose there is just the wide protection. Overall, it was an easy project, but it did take us a few days, mainly because of the Southern California heat. We haven't had a break really. It's been 90s, 100, 105 for a couple of weeks now where I live, so it's been difficult to escape the heat. So we could only work in the afternoons. You also need to wait for the paint to set, right? So when we set the paint on the surface after we clean, that had to set. The wax has to set for a couple hours as well. Plus, when we did the steps, that had to set. So it ended up taking us a few days to do it. I'm sure if you plan this out, you could probably do it in a day or two, right? Maybe start off in the morning, get all your bits cleaned up, start the paint, do any rust treatment you need to do, and then come back the next day and get it done. As I was under there, because of all the recent rain and because we've been off the trails for a little bit working on big projects, I did notice a lot of rust, so we are gonna go back in and do a rust treatment again under the truck. Now, it's been 2 years since we did the last rust treatment, so we are overdue. So we'll go back in there and just do the rust treatment again. And this, like I said, guys, this is part of the maintenance of having an off-road truck. You want to get under there and control the rust, especially the older trucks. The new Raptors, you don't have to worry about it as much. Yes, the frame will get some rusting, but the cab's all aluminum, so it's not going to rust. And that's really the benefit of the newer trucks. You really don't have to worry about the rusting as much as you do with the older trucks. This is the only thing protecting your truck from rusting out completely. And if these fail, it's the difference of a $50,000 truck and a $30,000 truck. Because once that cab starts rusting, it's an expensive repair. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, you're looking at a Gen 1 Raptor, Gen 2, Gen 3, if you have any questions, please shoot us a message below. And we are partnering with Hammer Built to start selling products here pretty soon. So be on the lookout for those videos. We're gonna start a whole video series of the products we recommend. We're gonna redo a lot of our old videos as well. And it'll allow us to make a little bit of commission. I don't like, putting weird links up there and having you guys give us money on some weird service like PayPal or whatever. I'd rather you guys get something to it. So we partnered with Hammer Built with Tyson there to be able to sell some products we recommend and make a little bit of commission. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, shoot me a DM here on YouTube or on Instagram and we'll help you get the parts you need. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you on the next one.